take care of it.
Well, let's try this again. I just walked you through the logic, though.
Logic. I'm asking
The
you,
logic?
do you think a secular person...
Well, then, when you ask me, Andrew, don't you think X? And I say, well, yeah.
And you say, I can't fathom it from a secular point of view.
When I say from a secular point of view, I actually can't answer the justification. Just remember that neither can you.
And I was communism, the ideology on its own.
You lived in a communist country, and it was mostly the men enforcing the communism. You don't know if you'd blame the men or the ideology, really. You don't know?
I'd probably blame the men at that point.
You'd blame the...
Well,
okay,
hello, and welcome back, you spuds and spudettes, my glorious Tater Nation, you. It's me, of course, your friendly neighborhood potato. And you know us potatoes, we have lots and lots of eyes. We like watching all the interesting things that you humans have going on up top. And today I felt like adding a little spice to my mashed potato mix. And we're going to be talking about a little bit of a spicy topic. That is fatherless homes, or single-parent homes, as it's becoming nowadays. So before we get into the mash of it all, let's start out with our motivational quotes. One from myself. Even a potato growing in the darkness knows its roots matter. Humans aren't any different. You grow stronger when you know where you're coming from. And of course, the Bruce Lee quote, a tree without roots is easily toppled. And if Bruce Lee said it, trust me, he meant it. That man could break bricks with a blink. All right, my Tater Nation, let's dig deep. Today, we're peeling back the reality of single-parent homes, a topic people dance around like it's hot oil in a frying pan. Now, before we get it twisted, it isn't like we're blaming any one group of people. We're just blaming the people who don't stick around, the ones that try to push the other one out of the home for their own benefits. But here's what researchers have consistently found about kids raised without a present, engaged father. Higher dropout rates, increased poverty, higher incarceration among boys, higher teen pregnancy amongst girls, more emotional and behavioral issues, and long-term economic mobility. Increased poverty, because whenever there's a separation in the home, especially nowadays, you need two incomes to make an actual home work, it seems like, anymore. Higher incarceration, obviously, there's going to be the boys that lash out because they don't have the father disciplining them in the home. Where the mother is the caretaker, the nurturer, it's not going to come across the same for them to try to discipline and then try to be their nurturer. And vice versa with girls. The girls are going to have a higher pregnancy rate because of the single parent home. Whether that be the father giving them the reassurance that they're worth something, or whether that be the mother making them feel like they can go out and do something that they thought that they should have been able to do when they were a kid. And of course, the more emotional behavioral issues. Emotional and behavioral issues. Because regardless of which one they're lacking, they're going to need that other side perspective view of the world. If it's a male, they're going to need both sides, male and female. And if it's a female, they're going to need both sides, male and female. So when you abandon your genes, it is going to have some detrimental effects. This isn't about politics. It isn't about a vibe, and it isn't your truth versus my truth. It's the closest thing we have to academic peace. Even researchers who argue about everything from climate to calories will all agree on this. Kids need structure. Without it, they're like French fries who fell between the car seats. Lost, greasy, and probably going to end up causing an issue later. Today, we're going to go over a clip from Andrew Wilson and the Whatever Podcast. Andrew Wilson is the host of the Crucible, and the whatever podcast is hosting him on, or having him as a guest. They're hosting him. Yeah, they're hosting him on the whatever podcast. He is the host of the Crucible. If you haven't seen either one of those podcasts, please go check them out. The Crucible is awesome for debate tactics. He has a debateuniversity.com where you can learn to debate if you'd like. Also, the whatever podcast, if you haven't seen them, please go check them out. It's a wild ride. They've got some really interesting guests that come on and some different worldviews. Brian Atlas does a very good job of breaking their worldviews down. He's the host, and so he moderates a lot of the time. And so Andrew Wilson will do most of the debating. But anyway, we'll go ahead and dive into this clip. I think I've covered all of the shout-outs. Definitely go check them out. But we'll go ahead and dive into the clip, and we'll check this out.
We're talking everything from homelessness on up.
Like
almost everything.
Is another term for single mother homes fatherless homes?
Sure.
So why do you put it on women?
Because it's usually women who initiate being in the fatherless relationship, not men.
And why do they initiate being in a fatherless relationship?
The number one answer from women is that irreconcilable differences.
So do you know anyone, a woman in your life that's ever been divorced?
Sure.
Do they say, hey, we got divorced because we couldn't reconcile our differences, or do they say another reason?
They have a varying degree of things, but here's what's not happening. What they're not actually giving in real life is he was abusing me, he was beating me up, he was doing this, he was doing that. Usually
do you know the top 3 reasons women file for divorce?
Tell me.
Infidelity, emotional neglect, and poor communication, followed by finances.
What's the top 3, though?
That's the top 3 I just said.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
yes,
the top 3 is not infidelity.
Yes, infidelity, emotional neglect, and poor communication, followed by finances.
Oh.
So no, actually, if you look it up, it starts with irreconcilable differences. That is the number one reason, according to court records. Now, what they say in person is anecdotal. We have to go off of what they say on the official court documents. If they want to start giving a different reason, then we can start doing some new statistics as they come in. But as of right now, irreconcilable differences is the number one filed reason. And irreconcilable differences can range from anything from anecdotal, I understand, but one experience I had was I paid for everything for her. When I couldn't afford it anymore, she got upset with me because it became an irreconcilable difference. She wanted me to pay for everything. I couldn't pay for everything. That was irreconcilable, and that was a difference. So it became a difference and became a problem. So irreconcilable differences can become a wide range of things when really looked into it.
Oh, so what's the number one reason?
I just said infidelity. I just said
infidelity is the number one
Correct.
reason?
Correct.
Okay. Which one of these studies proves that?
Did you bring any studies?
Just tell me which one proves
You know
it.
what? Don't say any facts for the rest of this debate if you're not going to show me a study. How about that?
Bro, listen.
Don't show. No more facts. No more facts.
You got to stop interrupting him.
Dude,
every time
did I make?
You literally were interrupting him.
Did I make? Did I make the claim or did you?
It's called moderating the show. You've been interrupting the entire time.
Okay.
If Andrew interrupts you, I'll say the same thing to him.
Yeah, but just real quick.
He's been interrupting the whole time. Andrew's been trying to get a word in edgewise.
Did you make the claim or did I make the claim?
I made the claim.
Okay, great. Can you show it?
I don't have the data point in front of me, but I looked it up prior to this, and you can do it after.
Okay. What if we do it now?
Go for it.
Okay.
Sure.
If you can't point to a study and tell me, well, Andrew, anyone, you don't know the place in the study that it says what you're trying to claim, you don't know it well enough to actually depend upon your ability to back that claim up. Thus meaning I don't have to abide by your claim. So you have to back it up.
And where can I find this data? I'd like to.
Around.
No, you looked it up
I have
before.
a lot of data, man. I don't know exactly each source where I got it from.
Before.
This is more about single mothers. You can look at that one if you want to talk about single motherhood.
Yeah, we can get into that. But again, this is just wild to me. I thought you were going to tell me that was the number one reason.
Okay, well, you can't use any facts if you don't have any data.
The number one
to back
reason
it
that
up.
I'm seeing is lack of commitment.
Well, that's infidelity and also
No,
emotional
it's
neglect.
not.
Okay.
Nah. Again, going back to the irreconcilable differences story, that can be construed as a lack of commitment. I've lacked to fulfill my commitment to her because I couldn't afford to pay for her every whim. And it wasn't like it was bare minimum. I won't get into the details of it, but I was paying for a decent portion of her life, and I couldn't afford to do it anymore. So it is what it is. But that became, quote unquote, a lack of commitment or an irreconcilable difference or whatever you want to call it. So this idea that they can come up with just a random idea or random reason without an actual fault. So this no fault divorce idea is a very big concern to a lot of us men.
What does lack of commitment mean to you, Andrew?
I have no idea what it means. You tell me.
Of course
What
you
is
don't,
lack
but it's
of
not
commitment?
infidelity, right? Because infidelity doesn't
Well,
show a
what
lack of
is it?
commitment. Does
Yes, that can. Yes, that can. But why isn't that listed as the reason if that's the reason, ladies? Why are you not listing it as infidelity? Why is it a lack of commitment or an irreconcilable difference when it goes on to the official documents?
infidelity show a lack of commitment?
So
Does
could
it-
not
does
coming
it?
home by 10.
Okay,
what are you
exactly.
talking about?
Okay.
So tell me, what does that mean? Lack of commitment.
You tell me.
You're the one who made the claim.
You're the one who said it was irreconcilable differences.
That's the number one reason they file divorces is
Yeah,
what I
but that's
said.
not the reason people actually file for divorce.
Okay, so the reasons that they give, you're saying that the number one reason women give is infidelity.
Infidelity, emotional neglect, and poor communication.
Okay, where can I find the statistic?
I don't remember, man. I brought all the statistics. You didn't bring any.
I didn't need to bring any.
Yeah, because you're making shit up.
What am I making up?
Anything you say, because you can't prove
Bro,
it.
what have I said that I made up?
About the finances that...
How do I make something up when I say I don't know for sure?
Okay, well, you said it's significant.
That is true. It is significant.
Okay, well, how can you prove that?
Well, what does significant mean? I am not seeing infidelity as the number one answer on any of these.
Okay.
Again, if you can't point to a study and say it's in this part of the study, or you're able to actually cite something to actually back your claim up, you cannot claim something and think that it's going to hold weight. We have to get back to actually understanding our points before we say them. Like Andrew has said, he doesn't actually say this is how it is. He just gives a general description of, yes, this can possibly be the way. But we have to understand that just as many women are at fault as there are men at fault here, because women hold the key to reproduction. They're the ones who have the ultimate control in it all.
Number one reason I'm seeing is financial problems.
That's not the number one reason. And you've also said it's not the number one reason. You've
That's
said
what
that.
I'm seeing.
Okay.
But I'm ready for a counterfactual.
Okay, fine. Let's just concede that I don't know what I'm talking about. The point is, it's not irreconcilable differences. People file for a reason.
Well, we're talking past each other because we were talking about divorce.
Right.
And I said that they file for irreconcilable differences.
Right.
You asked for the meaning behind the irreconcilable difference. I'm fine with that. I just don't think it's infidelity. I think that's incorrect. And when I just looked, it is. You made the claim that it is, but you can't tell me where I
But you're
can find that data.
blaming women for filing for divorce, making it sound like it's just some fly-by-the-night thing they decided to do. There's typically a reason, and you read some
I'm
of
not
them.
saying that there's not reasons.
Okay,
The question.
then why do you blame women for single motherhood?
The question is whether or not there's good. Well, first of all, can you be a single mother and never be married?
Sure, but where's the father in this scenario?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: don't courts adjust towards women even when they aren't married?
Do you know 1 in 3 children born out of wedlock don't see their father past the age of 3? Did you know that?
Why?
You tell me.
I'm waiting.
No, you tell me.
Why do I need to tell you when I ask you a question? Why?
Because single motherhood is not just a female problem.
Okay, but why do they not have access
Because
to the
men
child?
tend to abandon children.
Can you demonstrate that?
Again, anecdotal, I realize, but the majority of the men that I know that have kids out there that they don't get to see are not of their choice. The women set them up so well that they didn't have a chance in court. They had to give up their rights. Or vice versa, the men are out there that are fighting for their children, and they shouldn't be fighting for their children. The mothers are better parents for the kids. But it doesn't change the fact that they need both sides. We need to get back to vetting each other, holding on to that key until they've proven themselves worthy of that intimacy with you. We need to bring self-respect back. We need to culture it. We need to grow that little spudling back into a plant again and actually have self-respect. And I'm not talking about, oh, I'm going to take care of myself today. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'm going to spoil myself today. No, I'm talking about real, actual, honest to God, taking care of yourself. Thinking about what is going to happen in the long run and what you want out of life. Do you want a man that's just flitting around? Because more than likely, in the end, if you're flitting around, they're not going to want you, right? When it comes to promiscuity, men and women are very different in their views on things. I'm not saying that anyone has the right to be promiscuous. I'm just saying that they have different views when it comes to it. So do you want a man that has high values, high morals, a high valued man? Or is it all just about money? Because when it really boils down to it, the men that have money are still going to be looking for that high moral held woman. So chaste, holding on to that golden bar for as long as they can, showing that responsibility, showing that accountability, showing that drive to know what they want. There's a lot of things that virginity show. I don't understand why it doesn't show that in men too, but it definitely shows it in women.
I think I just did.
How?
33% of children don't see their father past age 3.
Yeah, but that doesn't prove that it's because the men don't want to.
Okay, how many men file for custody of the child in child court?
I don't know the stats off the top of my head. We can look.
95% of them are filed without contest from the father, and the 4% that do typically do get it. So if 95% of men are fighting for their child, I think you can look at men for the problem.
Oh, I see. Okay, so let's back.
Just automatically, you can blame men for the problem. Has he talked to any men? Because I know a lot of men out there that have tried and tried and tried, and they've been set up. And I know a lot of women out there that have been too. Again, I'm not pointing my finger at any one specific gender when it comes to the aftermath. That's why we need to go back to the idea of not having a child with someone you don't want to be with the rest of your life. We need to vet each other. Man, I keep saying that. I'm going to pound myself into mashed potatoes here pretty soon, guys. I'm going to drive that point home one way or another. We've got to get back to unity. United we stand. Divided we will always fall. We've got to stop arguing against each other. But it doesn't change the fact that women hold the key. They're the ones who have to ultimately say, no, you can't have that until you've put a ring on my finger, given me that contract, given me that stability, that commitment, whatever the case may be, whatever you choose in your personal life. I personally want to get married one day, but I have a ethical background that drives me toward that. If you don't, that's fine, but start to have some commitment before you have children. Don't use the fetus deletus as a birth control. That is absolutely ridiculous. We treat that like it's a clump of cells, but you cut a potato eye off and we're still a potato. That eye is still a potato. It may be now a seed, and a clump of cells, quote unquote, but it's still a potato. You get a fine for an eagle egg disruption or deletion. You get a huge fine, but yet a fetus deletus is birth control. Make it make sense, guys.
Yeah. Tell me something. Who can actually have children, men or women?
Women.
Okay. Are these women being raped?
No.
Okay, so they have the responsibility of making sure that they don't get pregnant, right?
I think two people have the responsibility to make sure they don't get somebody pregnant as well.
But do you agree with me that it is the case that most men will sleep with most women, but most women won't sleep with most men?
So what?
So if that's the case, right, then women have greater access than men do, don't they?
Sure.
So if that's the case, why are they granting access to men who abandon their kids?
How do they know they're going to abandon their kids?
Well, hang on. That's
I thought women had intuition. I thought women love to tell us men that they have this women intuition and that they know what we're doing behind their backs better than we know. Why are you women picking these bad men? Because they have a silver tongue and they talk to you well enough. You got to start vetting them and making them prove that they want you. Start holding your value. Not because you can make money off of it, but because it's actually valuable to you.
so weird, though. Wait a second. Let's back up. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who have the sexual access, right? So if they don't know, why are they sleeping with these men? They're the ones who get pregnant, not the men.
And men are the ones that get them pregnant.
Yeah, but so what?
They're a part of the equation.
So what?
That's a part of the equation.
Yeah, but women are the ones who get to access that.
And men are the ones that access it.
Okay. Can men have abortions?
No.
Can men force women to have abortions?
No.
Do you believe women should be able to have abortions?
Yes.
Well, if that's the case, right, that you believe women ought to be able to have abortions, men ought not to have any say on whether or not women have abortions, then women are the ones who ultimately have 100% access around reproduction, not men.
So men have no responsibility in your eyes?
How could they have a responsibility if they're not allowed to make the choice of if the child's even here or not?
If you got somebody pregnant, would you abandon them?
Do I form a secular worldview or do I form a Christian one?
Do Christian people abandon their children?
No.
No, they don't. All Christians are perfect?
No. Under Christian ethics, you're not to abandon your children.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so only secular people abandon their children.
No, that's not what I said. What did I just say?
Christian ethics bans you from...
Under Christian ethics,
Right.
you ought not do that.
Right.
Is ought not the same as do they don't?
Should anyone do that?
Do I think so?
Yeah.
Under Christian ethics, no.
Even secular. Do you think people should? Even if you're secular, do
Under
you
Christian
think people
ethics,
should?
I don't think secular people should.
And
no.
I think...
How can you sit there and ask someone who has Christian ethics why would he argue against himself? That doesn't make sense.
Secular people also don't think they should abandon their children. So
Okay.
what's the point?
But they can kill them.
I don't think it's...
Oh, I know, right.
We're not gonna have-
You don't think it's
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's
Okay,
not.
got it. They kill them, but they think that they
It's not
shouldn't have
killing.
been them.
It's not.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
horrible
see-
framing. That's
like,
a horrible
I don't see
framing.
a great compelling reason here. If the idea is
Horrible framing. You can frame it however you want to. I can frame it however I want to. And that's how we like to frame it because that's what it is. If you don't like hearing it, maybe stop doing it. I don't know. Maybe. Well, concept, huh?
is that that these women they're getting knocked up. They're the ones who have complete and total access to who sleeps with them. They're not getting raped, and they have the choice as to whether or not they abort or not abort. Yeah.
But someone also was.
But does the man have a choice?
The man was.
Does the man have a
has a
choice?
choice to not impregnate a woman?
Now,
yes.
what if the man?
And the woman has a choice not to be impregnated. They have the choice not to allow that man to impregnate. And women have this intuition that's supposed to tell them when people are being not right. So how is it just the man's fault?
Man has a choice to not
Does the
impregnate a
man
woman.
have the choice to keep the baby?
Not if the woman
Does the
doesn't
man
want
have
to.
the choice to make the woman pay him child support and keep the baby?
How much is the average child support
Can you answer
payment?
my question?
No.
I just went.
How much is
no, no. Answer my fucking
I said no.
question.
I just said no.
Okay. Let's back up.
How about you listen?
Yeah. Okay, let's back up. Well, I said, can you
Who's not
answer my
listening?
question? And you said no. You could see how I could perceive that as you saying, I'm not going to answer your question, right?
Yes. No.
Even
To
the
your original
moderator thought
question.
that was the case. Okay, so let's back up. You do believe that it is the case that men can't force women to have their children.
Correct.
But women can force men to take care of their children.
That's correct.
Okay. How?
Even to the point where the woman can set the man up with someone else's child, get them to raise that child because the man is trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, trying to love her regardless of what might have happened in the past. And then they get down the line and they find out that it's not their blood. It's not their child. They don't have any actual responsibility. And now they have become attached. The law in some areas, like I mentioned in my last video, that some laws make them take it on as their own child. That should be entrapment. That should be some kind of legalities that the woman should be held accountable for in law. She should have to pay back all of that she got from that man in child support when they weren't together. While they're together, obviously, regardless of whether it's my child or not, if I was in a relationship with a woman with a child, I would take care of that child regardless, because that's what good human beings do. Secular or religious. As a religious person, I would, but I'm trying to hit everything as a secular type of view. And even then, we should be taking care of each other because it's the right thing to do.
How is that fair?
I'm not saying it's fair.
Okay, so then what is the so then if men didn't want to have that child, why should they be held to account, take care of it?
Because it's their child.
What?
Because it is.
And it's the woman's child as well, but she's able to fetus deletus whenever she wants. Some states to the point where it's being in every state. I think I've heard this in fact on the whatever podcast, I'm pretty sure. I've heard this by Brian Atlas, I'm pretty sure. So credit to where credit's due. But I believe that any state that is allowing a woman to do that, a fetus deletus, that it should allow the man to walk away, legal paternal surrender or something along those lines, to where he doesn't have any responsibilities. If she's able to skirt responsibilities, if she wants to keep that child and he wants to skirt responsibilities, he should be able to. Equality. I thought that's what feminism was all about. I thought that's what they were pushing for, is equality. I want to be equal. That's what it's what you keep saying. But every turn you want us men to take responsibility and allow you women to slack. I don't have a problem with taking responsibility when I need to, when I'm supposed to. If I'm going to be the breadwinner and you're going to be at home, you should be doing something. You should be taking care of the children. But this idea that women can go ahead and just make the man pay for something that they don't care to have. Yes, they chose it, but so did the woman. We need to get back to being unified in one way or another. Common ground isn't agreeing to disagree. That's not common ground. Common ground is something in the middle. Being able to say, okay, we've got to nullify all fetus deletions, period. Because it doesn't help anyone. We need to get back to vetting each other fully and in entirety before we let the intimacy take over. And so that person knows that they want to be with us. We know that we want to be with them before a child is put into the mix. Period.
Their child.
I'm super confused, but they didn't have a say.
Doesn't matter. It's their child.
Should they be able to have a say?
I don't think so.
But you just said it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. So what? They have
but I thought that's what equality was. I thought that's what equality is fairness. If it's not going to be fair, then it's not fair. Men have the force monopoly. They hold, as Andrew states, the force doctrine. We have the monopoly over force. Whether you like to admit it or not, it is what it is. So that's not going to be ever fair. So life is not fair. So I understand that there's going to be some things that women get that men can't get, and vice versa. But this idea that it's the man's fault because he got her pregnant, but she was the one who allowed it to happen. As he states, Andrew states, it's not forced, it's by choice. Majority of fetus deletuses on record. So it's both.
Had a child. That's their child. They should take care of it and not abandon it.
So, okay, so to get this right, then women should be able to kill men's children if they want, right?
Stop framing it as...
Or keep them if they want, and the man has to pay child support for the child.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
And you think women should get to make that choice?
100%.
Why should we let women make that choice?
Because they're the ones that have to, conceive.
So, got it. So they're the ones who have to conceive. Mm-hmm. So they're the ones making the choice.
Yep.
So therefore, it's their responsibility. Anything else?
No, because the father is also part of the responsibility.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who's making the choice?
They can have the child, but the father should take care of their child. And you don't disagree with that, do you?
Wait.
Do you disagree with that or not? Do you disagree that the father should take care of the child?
I can't justify it from a secular angle.
Why not?
Because it makes no sense to me.
It makes total sense. If you have a child, you should take care of it.
Well, let's try this again. I just walked you through the logic, though.
Logic. I'm asking you, do you think a secular person...
I didn't realize that was in this part of it. I'm glad that got on tape. We all need to hear that he said F the logic, because everything works off logic. That is the worst thing that you can possibly say. Regardless of how upset you are, how much you're trying to get your point across, you should never, ever, ever say F the logic, F the semantics, which he does later. These things matter, especially in a deep discussion or debate like they're trying to have. And he keeps saying he's not a debater, but he came to a debate. He needed to brush up on debate tactics.
Person should take care of the child that they have.
Does a Christian think that? Of course.
And you don't think secular people do?
Well, I can't see how secularists could justify it, no. Not if you're making the claim. So you made the claim.
From my worldview, if you have a child, you should take care of it,
Why?
period.
Why?
Because that's my worldview.
Okay. Why, though?
Because it's your child. You are part of it. I don't need to justify it for you.
Right, because when we walk around the logic, here's what we end up with. You say women have complete and total access, should be able to kill a man's kid, right? Or should be able to bring it to bear and make sure that the man takes care of the kid, but the man can't tell the woman that she has to have the kid even when she's pregnant,
That's
right?
correct. And if there's a child in the world that man contributed to, he should take care of it.
Okay, so just to make sure that we got this right, it's an uneven standard for men versus women.
If that's the world we live in.
Yeah, so justify why it is that men shouldn't say that.
I don't need to.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, again, I don't need to justify my standing, but you need to justify your standing. Women are always perfect. Women are always right. This guy's married, I'm pretty sure. Why is he trying to simp to all these women? Guys, women, you don't want this kind of attitude. They're using you. If it's a man you want, you're probably getting used. But you need to start understanding your worth and making them actually give you the commitment before you get into the actual intimacy of things. I want commitment. If I find the continuity in a female to actually go that route, I'm going to try to stick it out, regardless of the situation. Divorce is not an option for me. It is not an option. We need to get back to this idea that you are bound for life to this person. If you're not willing to be that, don't get into the intimacy allowing that possibility of a child to come into the mix. Because regardless of the birth control, regardless of what you utilized before the hand, if you get pregnant, if that spark happens, you are responsible for a life. Because again, regardless of if it's a cell, or if it's a clump of cells, or if it's considered a human being, it is life. And if that cell is a human being DNA strain, it is a human life. Plain and simple. We have to get back to unity.
Well, then, when you ask me, Andrew, don't you think X? And I say, well, yeah.
You say, I can't fathom it from a secular point of view.
From a secular point of view, I actually can't answer the justification. Just remember that neither can you.
And I would say most secular people also believe you should take care of a child if you're the
from
one
the Christian ethical angle.
But why? Why do they think that? Because they need the help? Because there are a lot of people that are starting to say that I don't need a man. I don't need a father for my kid. I can raise it myself. So that's starting to contradict this point that he's trying to make. Even secular people should say that you should raise your children. So when is that going to take the majority? We need to fight that.
Of course you're supposed to take care of your children. But from the Christian ethical angle, it's also completely appropriate, right, to put significant pressure on women to not have abortions, meaning men get a say in the choice, right?
Well, what's wild?
Exactly. As a man, I should have a say in whether my DNA strain, my lineage stops. Because for whatever reason, I have an accident or something right after that. Again, if we want equality, both men and women need to have that say, that accountability, that responsibility. We need to get back to unity. Mashing that into place, I guess. So that's what we need to get back to.
To me is that you're complaining about single motherhood and then you're sitting here saying, well, men should say it, which is just wild. That men should say it if they want to.
When did I say when?
You said so men should say it, right?
I'm sorry. Do you know what an ought is versus a descriptor?
Sure.
What's an ought?
An ought is, I don't know.
Did I say that secular men ought do that? Or did I say I can't think of a justification?
You can't think of a justification.
And neither can you.
But you also don't think single motherhood is a good thing, correct?
That's correct.
So why don't you encourage men to take care of the children?
Should we force them to?
I think so.
Okay, so you think that we should force men to take care of the kids?
Correct. That's what child support is.
But no. No, that's not. Well, that is true that they take it by force, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you said.
But what I'm talking about force is like, should we make them participate as a father?
Yes.
We should force that.
And so, as long as the court rules that they should, yes.
No, that's different. I'm not asking about what the court rules. I'm asking, do you think we should force men to participate?
I think they should force at least child support. And if
no,
father...
that's not my question.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Should they force men to participate in being a father?
No.
Being a father, no.
No.
Well, maybe start listening before you try to answer his question then. He's trying to basically ask, should we do force doctrine and force parents to be involved in their children's lives? Not just pay, but actually go and spend time with them. And yeah, I kind of believe that we should, but it should be that we should be reducing fetus deletuses, reducing that ability to use it as a birth control, forcing that accountability, and making people think twice before they jump into the intimacy of things.
No. Not if the father. If the father's going to be a shitty father, then no.
Then can you explain to me how it is that...
Then stop letting them into that intimacy part. If they're going to be fathers, don't let them be a quote-unquote lover. If you love them enough to allow them to be that, you should allow them to be a father. If you don't love them enough to be a father, then stop. Stop, guys. Stop. What are we doing?
if the woman can get child support from the guy, right, and you are not going to force any participation, aren't you pushing single motherhood?
No, you're blaming women for single motherhood.
Yeah.
And you're saying
They're the ones who
fathers-
have all the choice by your own admission.
But the
He again, like Andrew just said, he admits that they have all the control. They have the allowance of deleting their children. They have the allowance of forcing child support. So they're the ones in most control. They're the ones who have the most to gain and the most to lose in the allowance of people into their intimate parts. So we need to start vetting each other better again, and to the point where we're lasting a lifetime together before the intimacy comes in, before that possibility of children come into the mix.
fathers have no part to play in it. And in single motherhood,
If it is
fathers
the
have no
case
part to
that
play.
fathers can't make the determination as to whether or not they can even have the kid, and only the woman can, you hold an uneven playing field. I have at least a consistent view that women should not be allowed to abort, and men ought to actually be made to participate in their own children's life.
Right there. Exactly. We need to reduce the ability to have that fetus deletus so that they're forced to make the men accountable. They're forced to take accountability themselves, right? Women, you can't just use it as birth control. It's going to make you think twice.
That's my consistent worldview. Your worldview is inconsistent.
Okay.
You're
It's
making
inconsistent.
yeah,
I'm
it's
sitting
totally
here-
inconsistent.
I said that if a man
you're
has a
you're
child,
just giving privilege to women.
if a man
Yeah.
has a child, they should take care of it. Do they? That's a different story.
If
I'm
women
saying
have,
they should.
If women have children, should they take care of it?
Yeah.
Can they give it up for adoption?
Sure.
Okay. Can the man make the woman give, or why can't the man give up his parental rights and just walk away? If the woman can.
If the woman does, then he can.
Well, wait, that's
No, that's not what he asked. Again, like I mentioned, if she is allowed to step away if she wants to, and he has no choice whether he is allowed to keep that child, then why isn't he allowed to step away if she chooses to keep that child?
really weird. I don't get it. If it is the case that the mother has guardianship of the father's child, she can still put the child up for adoption, right?
Sure.
Okay, but he can't.
If he has guardianship of the child, he can.
If he has guardianship,
Well,
right?
so he can too,
But if
then.
she's a single mom, what gives him guardianship?
Well, he doesn't have guardianship. I'm saying if a father has guardianship,
Yeah.
he can also put up the child for adoption. It's not just a mother
Yeah,
thing.
but who does it default to?
Why does it default to women?
Because that's the way the system is set.
How is it set that way?
Because it has become matrilineal rather than patrilineal.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means from the father or from the mother.
No, I know the definition. You always use those
it
words.
means that
but
the
why,
property,
but
the
why
property,
is the family court?
Yeah.
Why is it giving
because
it to the women?
feminists have made huge pushes in order to make it that way.
Feminists.
So this might be a wrong take. I don't know. But the way I see it in coverture laws, it's stated that men, quote unquote, the children were the property of the man. Now, how I see that is he owns that responsibility. He owns the accountability of that child's well-being. If they get divorced, he needs to be able to take care of that child. Whether that be he takes it or that be that he toils in the field all day and she takes care of the child at home, which is probably what ended up happening because back in that time, women didn't really work a whole lot. So they were at home majority of the time to take care of the child. So it defaulted to the woman. And then when feminism came along, they pushed for that to stay the case because they ultimately get benefits by having the child. They get the child support. They get this, not the other. And how often do we see women that are not using that child support wisely? Let's just put it that, right?
The push that women get custody of the child.
Yeah.
Are most judges in family court men or women?
And family court, they're men.
And so they're
I'm
influenced
sorry.
by feminists?
I'm sorry, wait a second. Are you saying that men can't be feminists?
I'm saying that I doubt that.
Can-
He's a feminist. If he doesn't call himself one. He is one. So yes, make him be feminist.
Majority of family
Are you
court.
saying that men can't be feminists?
I'm saying that I doubt all the family court judges are so influenced by
Do
feminism.
family court judges have to adhere to the law, or do they make the law?
I'm not sure if they make the law or not.
I'm not sure if they. I feel a little dumber right now. Our education system has failed you. I don't even want to call my friend. Yo, the education system failed you, man. No, the judges cannot make laws. And if they can make laws, we would be in serious trouble. They have to adhere by the laws, and those laws are made by the majority. And the majority have become... It started when people wanted to do right by the women. The women saw that as an opportunity to take over power, it seems like. And feminism has completely ruined the idea of procreation. And we need to get back to the idea of procreation.
They have to adhere to the law. They don't make it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So family court judges are just adhering to the law, right?
And what's the law say?
Yeah, the law. So here's what happened. We used to have what are called coverture laws. Coverture laws actually forced men to take care of their families. That very same thing that you want, right? Of course, this also made children their property, and women, right, were also part of the man then, right? That was how it went. But guess what? They had to take care of their family or they went to jail. That's what happened. Marriages stayed together about 90, 95%. And then you know what happened? Feminists really pushed real hard for the average default laws. And here's what the average default laws were. Oh, the average default laws were saying basically, on average, the default's going to go to women, right? Now, there's a whole series of laws I can pull up and go through. But yes, this was pushed by feminists so that there was default laws which pushed literally that women by default had custody. Yes, that is correct.
That is not how it works, because if a father tries to get custody of the child, they often do get it. But most
they do now.
Oh, so feminists have failed then?
No, bro. There's been, since men's rights movement started, especially in about the mid-2000s, there have been reforms to the laws. Male custody has quadrupled because of men's rights advocacy groups. And yes, quadrupled. And yes, I can grab you that stat if you want it.
I'm not saying...
It has quadrupled because these laws have now begun to get rolled back. But it used to actually just be a straight default. Default.
How long? Because my understanding of this is most fathers aren't filing for custodial guardianship of the child.
Because again, they're either A, set up, and they understand that there's no reason to fight. Two, we're more likely to give in. We're less likely to hold a grudge, if you will, it seems like. The men are the ones that are willing to sacrifice for their family. And it seems like women are willing to sacrifice their family for themselves. So again, where the women have the control, where you hold that gold bar from birth, you hold that key. You should be holding on to it for as long as possible. You should. Of course, men are going to be dogs and looking to take it. That's where your self-worth comes into play, and you need to start finding it again.
You have to understand that you're looking at it from a historic prism that doesn't make any sense. You're talking about modern laws and the way that modern custody arrangements happen. It wasn't always this case. The case used to be actually that children went to the men. That was the old laws under coverture laws, right? That changed with feminism and radical feminism pushing for those laws to be changed.
So you're saying there was a time when the children were raised, there were more single fathers than single mothers?
No, there just wasn't really any erosion of marriage.
Okay, then why did you say that? Why did you make that?
He's not making the point that there were single fathers. He's just, again, like I had mentioned, and I could be wrong on my take, but he owns that responsibility. So when that divorce happens, he has to take that child because it's his responsibility, his property. If I own a home, and I understand that we're not trying to equivocate kids to homes, but if I own a home, I have to be the one who is held accountable for the upkeep of that home. So if I leave that property and I go outside of that state, and that property goes to garbage, It's still my property. It's still my responsibility to upkeep it if I want it to be anything later on. Now, whether I want to set somebody up in that place, and again, I'm not trying to equivocate this the same, but if I want to essentially allow the woman to take care of the child, and this is coverture laws, this isn't this day and age, this is not what I think. I'm just trying to explain this to some people who may not understand it. But if I want to set that child or that home up with the caretaker and have that home taken care of by them and then come back and take back over that home, that was how those coverture laws, as I understand it, how I see it, that's how they worked. You own that responsibility. You were the one who had to take care of it, whether you chose this way or that way. Now it defaulted because more than likely what was happening, because the women were always at home and able to take care of the child, nurture them and grow them, teach them. They were the ones that defaulted to when feminism came along. And now that men's rights, we are trying to get our ability to care for our children again and not allow these females, some of them, I'm not saying all of them, I'm just saying the ones that are out there, and I have seen enough of them to know they're out there, that don't care to have their kids actually taken care of. They just want what they want. We need to get back to unity again.
That point, you made the point that back in the day, men were getting custody of the children, but then there were still more single mothers.
No, there wasn't very many single mothers either.
Okay, but they outnumbered the single fathers.
No, there wasn't. Listen, these marriages stayed together, but under the law, it was true under the coverture laws that the child was the property, or was at least associative property, to the father. Yes.
I'm glad we're having this discussion because it goes back to the point that I've been trying to make.
Can you explain though your logic there?
Hold on.
I'm trying to actually understand the logic.
No, I want to get back to the thing we're talking about.
No,
I want to get back to the thing we're talking about.
Hang on.
No, I'm not.
Remember, Andrew, he said F the logic, brother. Why are you trying? Why? I understand, but
hanging on. It's not about escaping.
Before I let you escape, I just want to get back to this logic.
This is the point that I'm trying to make.
Why would it be that there was more?
That I'm trying
hang on,
to make.
Stop,
I don't want to.
I just want to finish.
I want to get back to the thing.
If you just answer this last question,
I don't give a shit. I
want
to get to the next thing.
Why won't you answer my questions?
Because the whole point I've been trying to make this whole debate is that any chance you get, you blame women. Any chance you get, you blame women. Single mothers.
For what?
I don't think that, and I'm not speaking for Andrew here. I'm just, it's my take. And I think Andrew's correct. But he's not blaming women. He's blaming the feminist ideology. And this gentleman, man, female, whatever he is proof that it doesn't have to be women. The feminist ideology, this idea that they can fetus delete us if they want to as a birth control, but we as men cannot tell them, no, you cannot do that because it's my seed too. When it boils down to it, women are the ones who say, yes, you can come into this bedroom. Yes, you can do this with me. If you don't say that and they don't force it, it's not happening. And if they force it, then that's not okay. And we'll discuss that in a different debate. But it doesn't matter at this point in this debate. This is how men are, quote unquote, abandoning their children and our fatherless homes, because it's increasingly getting to the point where men are starting to take the children, and now it's motherless homes. Either one is bad. We need to get back to having a unified home, having an understanding of who we are, so that we understand who our partner is, right? So I'm curious what you guys might think about this. I'm pretty close to ending with this debate, so please drop your comments in the section. Please like, subscribe, and share. I have some weird ways of breaking things down that Andrew might not be able to break them down because he's smarter than I am. So I might be able to break them down for the people who might not be able to comprehend them as easily. So please like, subscribe, share, get me out there so that I can maybe try to help people see. See what they're trying to share with us.
For everything. You blame women for the downfall of society.
What if
Andrew?
it is that? Well, let me ask you this.
Do you blame women for the downfall of society?
No, I don't blame them for the downfall of society.
The current trend of society? You don't?
No.
You never said that?
No. What I blame women for specifically, right, is feminism and feminist Marxist ideology. I do blame them for that, yes.
Okay, and as you said, feminism is the reason there's so many single mothers, right?
I think it's a core reason, yeah.
Okay, so is that contributed to the downfall of society?
Sure.
So through that logic, women are contributing to the downfall of society?
Yeah, but men would also be contributing to the downfall of society.
Thank you.
Okay, so you blame women mostly for the downfall of society,
Blame feminism, yes, the ideology of feminism.
which is
But I'm
women.
blaming the ideology. So you're just
not
asking about the
just women.
execution. It's like,
It's not just women. You're obviously a feminist, my man. So, my man, I don't want to have anything to do with you, brother. But you're a feminist, so I don't know what you're saying here, man. Like, you got to start thinking about what you're talking about.
are you blaming men for the downfall of a society which is mostly communist? Or would you be because they're enforcing everything? Or would you be blaming the ideology?
You're blaming women.
Can you answer my question?
No, you're blaming
No.
women.
See, well-
You're not blaming the ideology because women are the ones
Bro, so I'm going to ask the question again until you answer it.
Okay.
So you have a communist country, right? And the men are doing most of the bad stuff in the communist country. Would you blame the men or would you blame communism?
I don't think feminism...
Can you answer my question?
I
Answer
don't
the
know.
question.
I don't
Yes or
know.
no? You don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. I'll just start
you're-
answering that way. I don't
because
know.
you're saying feminism, the
So you
ideology
don't
in
know.
its own.
If
Feminism,
you
the
lived in a
ideology on
communist
its
country,
own.
You lived in a communist country, and it was mostly the men
Yep.
enforcing the communism.
Yep.
You don't know if you'd blame the men or the ideology, really. You don't know?
I'd probably blame the men at that point.
You'd blame the... Okay, well then... So you're saying that I should blame women?
No, I'm saying that you do.
I blame the ideology.
No.
Dude, from your worldview, you just said that you are essentially blaming the women. Because Andrew is not blaming the women. He is blaming the ideology of feminism. If you don't believe in feminism, you're not being the one who's blamed. If you believe in feminism, the ideology is to blame. You can change your ideology. So you are not to blame. It's the ideology that is to blame. We need to get out of this idea that feminism, this idea that we're overpopulated, that our birth rates need to come down when they're below replacement rate. We need to get back to unified understanding of longevity of our nation.
You're blaming the women at every chance you get.
The only consistent thing you could actually say here would be, I blame communism for the way these men are behaving, unless you innately think men are bad.
What about
Like,
feminism?
do you innately think men are bad?
What about feminism is bringing about the downfall of society?
You mean, what is it contributing to?
Yeah.
It's not just contributing to single motherhood. It also contributes to these two-income households. It's contributing to, well, it contributes to the fact that we even need two-income households. But one of the major things it contributes to is taking mothers out of the home. That's the biggest way that it contributes to the downfall of society.
Exactly, right there. So if you're having to go work, if you're having to go earn a living because now two incomes are forced in this economy, now you have to go out and make a living. And if we didn't ever have the two incomes implemented, then we could have easier stayed on one income. But as soon as feminism started and the I'm a boss babe, I want to go make something of myself, when you're already making something of yourself by being a mother. What is better? What is honestly more fulfilling in life than being a mother who then goes on to produce multiple doctors, multiple scientists, multiple Tesla, Elon Musks? What can you possibly do that's more fulfilling as a woman than just producing that next generation and keeping this nation strong and occupied with the personnel that is needed to keep the infrastructure alive, let alone all of the reproduction thereforth, right? By deleting one life, how many are you deleting? How many generations are you potentially deleting with that one act.
is taking mothers out of the home. Don't you agree?
I don't agree. But
don't agree?
This goes to the point that
Do you
I
think
how,
that- do
how
you
does
think-
this change what I
Yeah.
said that you blame feminism for the downfall of society?
Well, you didn't say that. You said
I
blame women.
said that initially,
You
and I
blame
said that in my
women.
opening statement
You
as
said
well.
I blame women.
Who implemented feminism?
Yeah, so that was a bunch of rich corporatists, and then
sure.
and then it was also a lot of women who were in bed with. No, it really was. It was rich corporatists.
Was it men that implemented
It
feminism?
was both.
Okay.
Yeah, it was both. But what do you think? But back to this. I just want to make sure, right? Why would it how would it even track that I would blame women for or hate women? I'm sorry, hate women. I do blame them if they're feminists for holding that ideology, but that's not all women. That's not me hating women. You made the distinction earlier that if I hate an individual woman,
Right.
that's not misogyny, right?
I wouldn't say on an individual level, no.
Yeah, so then if I hate all feminists, that's only hating individuals with an ideology, right?
If most women are feminists, wouldn't that be misogynistic?
I'm not sure that most women, well, I don't know. That's hard to say. But
That might be, but that's still not all women. So regardless of majority or not, and I don't think it really is majority of women that believe in the feminist ideology, there might be a decent portion of the ones that are still single. I don't know. But we need to get back to the ideology of raising our children to be unified.
if it is the case, no, actually, even if it was the case that most women were feminists and you hated all women who were feminists, you still wouldn't hate women. You would only hate feminists.
That's an easy way.
Exactly. It's not all women. You're still only hating a portion of the ideology, and it's not the people. Hate the sin, not the sinner. You know that saying? Everybody should know that saying. Same ideology in that aspect. Hate the ideology, not the person who has the ideology, because that person can change their ideology. We need to get back to giving leeway where we need to give leeway for people.
Out of that one.
Well, I mean, it's true, though, right?
No, it's not true.
Okay, well, then explain the logic to me.
Because if women are feminists and you hate feminism,
Yeah.
then you hate women.
No, you hate feminism.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's the thing, and I can prove it. I hate men who are feminists, too.
Oh, you're looking at one.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
There it is. I was waiting for that. Yeah. So he knows he's a feminist. So he knows men can be feminists. But yet, Andrew hates women because he hates feminists. Wouldn't that mean he hates everybody? I'm not sexist. I hate everybody equally. I used to say that, but about other things. All right. Anyway. So let's go ahead and wrap up for the day. For our potato fact of the week. Do you know that potatoes grow stronger with 2 points of stability? One is the seed eye. Hi, that's me. And the other is the compression of soil around it. Take one away and the plant gets weak, thin, and limp. It requires the dense soil for it to have to push through for it to grow strength. Like people, we go through tribulations, trials, and difficulties to learn, grow, and become stronger. What doesn't us makes us stronger. We need to get back to that idea. We need to get back to the ideology of I cannot give offense. One can only take offense, right? And I choose not to take offense to things. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. What happened to that? Let's get back to that, okay? Again, please drop your comments in the comment section. If you want to make fun of me, roast me, whatever you want to do, please. And of course, the stats, well, they're not whispering. They're screaming louder than a microwave when you try to sneak a midnight snack. We all know that beep. We're sitting there waiting. Oh, bam. Yeah, I got it. Didn't wake anybody up. And of course, this episode has been brought to you by Sputnik orbital guidance systems. Feeling lost? Got kids that you forgot existed? Need turn-by-turn directions back to your moral compass? Try the new Dad Nav 2.0, featuring directions like, in 500 feet, stop running from your responsibilities. Turn left. Your child's birthday party you missed is on the left. You have arrived at accountability. Ah! I know a lot of us are like that. Sputnik launching fathers back into orbit since the funding cleared. And as always, please take care of yourselves out there. Remember your Second Amendment rights within the United States. Your response time will always be faster than that of the police. It is always better to be tried by 12 of your peers than to be carried by 6. Stay safe, stay strapped. Keep an eye on your neighbors, as always. You never know what they're going through. Be kind, please. Those of you outside of the United States, please take care of yourselves the best way that you know how. Try to stop giving up your rights. They're important, as are you. Very important. And as for now, the potato signing off.